Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects every single one of us, no matter where we live, the melting of our planet's glaciers. We often hear about sea levels rising, but what does that actually look like? And are there other, more surprising effects that we're not talking about? Stick around, because some of these consequences might just blow your mind. Let's start with the basics. Our planet has two massive ice sheets, in Greenland and Antarctica, plus thousands of smaller glaciers tucked away in mountain ranges from the Himalayas to the Andes. Think of them as the world's giant, frozen water reservoirs. For millennia, these icy titans have been in a delicate balance, gaining snow in the winter and losing some ice in the summer. But that balance is now tipping, and it's tipping fast. As global temperatures climb, we're seeing melting on an unprecedented scale. So, where does all that water go? Straight into the ocean. This is the primary driver of what we call sea level rise. It's not just a tiny, incremental change. We're talking about trillions of tons of water being added to our oceans every year. To put that into perspective, the meltwater from Greenland alone in a single recent year was enough to cover the entire state of California in over 4 feet of water. The most direct consequence of this is coastal flooding. For the hundreds of millions of people living in low-lying coastal areas, this isn't a future problem. It's happening right now. We're seeing more frequent and more severe nuisance flooding during high tides, where streets in cities like Miami, Venice, and Jakarta are regularly inundated with seawater, even on sunny days. But it's the storm surges that are becoming truly terrifying. When a hurricane or a major storm hits, the higher base sea level means the storm surge can reach further inland, causing way more damage than it would have a few decades ago. Homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure like roads, power plants, and hospitals are all at risk. This rising water doesn't just flood our cities, it fundamentally changes the land itself. Coastal erosion is accelerating at an alarming rate. Waves, now riding on a higher sea level, have more power to batter our coastlines, eating away at beaches, cliffs, and wetlands. Many sandy beaches we know and love are shrinking, and in some places, they're disappearing altogether. This isn't just a loss for tourism. Beaches are our natural first line of defense against storms. Without them, coastal communities are far more vulnerable. And here's something you might not have considered: saltwater intrusion. As the sea level pushes inland, saltwater can seep into our freshwater resources. It contaminates the aquifers that we rely on for drinking water and for irrigating crops. Imagine turning on your tap and getting slightly salty water. For farmers in coastal regions, from the Mekong Delta in Vietnam to the Nile Delta in Egypt, this is a crisis. Salt-poisoned soil can no longer grow the crops that have fed populations for generations, threatening food security for millions. But the story doesn't end there. Let's talk about some of the more surprising, knock-on effects. Did you know that the melting of massive glaciers can actually affect the Earth's rotation? It's true. Think of an ice skater spinning. When they pull their arms in, they spin faster. When they extend them, they slow down. The Earth is a bit like that skater. The ice sheets at the poles are like weights held close to the axis of rotation. As they melt and the water spreads out across the globe, it's like the skater extending their arms. This redistribution of mass is actually slowing down the Earth's rotation, ever so slightly, lengthening our days by a fraction of a millisecond. It's a tiny change, but it's a powerful illustration of the sheer scale of this transformation. Here's another one: gravity. Believe it or not, massive ice sheets like the one in Greenland are so heavy that they exert their own gravitational pull. They literally pull the ocean water towards them, creating a slight bulge in the sea surface around them. As the ice melts and its mass decreases, its gravitational pull weakens. What happens then? The water that was once held close to Greenland is released, and it flows away. Paradoxically, this means sea levels in the immediate vicinity of a melting ice sheet might actually fall while sea levels on the other side of the world, for instance on the east coast of the United States, will rise even more than the global average. It's a completely counterintuitive effect, but it's a real and measurable phenomenon. The influx of cold, fresh meltwater also has a profound impact on ocean currents. These currents, like the Gulf Stream, act as a global conveyor belt, transporting heat around the planet and regulating our climate. The addition of huge volumes of cold, less salty water into the North Atlantic can disrupt this delicate system. Scientists are concerned that a significant slowdown of these currents could lead to drastic and unpredictable changes in weather patterns, causing colder winters in Europe and altering rainfall patterns across the globe, which could in turn affect everything from agriculture to ecosystems. Speaking of ecosystems, the damage to coastal habitats is immense. Salt marshes, mangroves, and coral reefs are incredibly important. They act as nurseries for countless marine species, protect coastlines from erosion, and filter pollutants. But these ecosystems are very sensitive. They can only tolerate a certain depth of water and a specific level of salinity. As sea levels rise, these habitats can essentially drown. Mangrove forests are being inundated, and coral reefs, already struggling with warming waters, face the added stress of deeper, often murkier water. The loss of these crucial ecosystems has a domino effect, impacting the fishing industry, coastal economies, and the biodiversity of our oceans. And finally, let's talk about the human cost. We're not just talking about economic damage, we're talking about displacement. Entire communities, and in some cases, entire nations, are facing the reality of their homes disappearing beneath the waves. Low-lying island nations like Kiribati, Tuvalu, and the Maldives are on the front lines. They're already making plans for the mass migration of their populations, creating a new category of refugees, climate refugees. This raises profound ethical and political questions. Where will these people go? What rights will they have? It's a humanitarian crisis in the making, directly linked to those melting glaciers thousands of miles away. So, as you can see, the melting of glaciers isn't some distant, abstract problem. It is reshaping our world in very real and dramatic ways. From flooding our cities and contaminating our water, to literally changing the way our planet spins, the consequences are far-reaching and interconnected. The science is clear, and the effects are already upon us. But the story isn't over. By understanding the full scope of the problem, we can be better prepared to adapt and, more importantly, be more motivated to take the collective action needed to slow the melt. Reducing our carbon emissions, transitioning to renewable energy, and protecting our natural coastal defenses are all crucial steps. The fate of our coastlines, and so much more, depends on the choices we make today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the science that shapes our world. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.